Hello everybody and welcome to Kobolds and Catacombs! I've been waiting on bated breath for this. I'm so excited. Kobolds and Catacombs 3-packs earn, monsters, traps, and treasure await. Legendary loot! Ah crap, I got the shaman one. Arm yourself with a dungeon delve of a lifetime. Well, it looks like I'm going to be doing some random shaman decks for my first build. Oh boy. Alright, and I got a watch and learn and a Kobolds and Catacombs begin a dungeon run to get more packs. Well, we'll do those later. I'm actually going to do two videos today. The first one is going to be my usual pack opening. So, to explain, in case you haven't seen it before, the reason I do pack openings and card reviews sort of lumped together is because I want to come at the cards with a fresh sort of look. I want to look at them individually, and I want to do it this way because I am a free-to-play player. I don't buy packs with real money. The packs I had beforehand were from doing tavern brawls. So, I grinded up a whole bunch of gold, as you can see right there. So, I don't put money into this game. So I know I'm not going to get the whole thing. I'm not going to get the whole expansion. So a lot of decks really sort of require the right sort of cards. And if you don't have all of the cards for a particular kind of deck, then you can't make that deck. Or you need to fiddle with it. You need to sort of make it your own and replace cards and, you know, do what you can. So yes, I understand that doing it this way, it's sort of a little bit more angled towards me and how I'm going to be making a deck, not necessarily you and how you're going to make a deck, because you're going to get different cards than I do. But the thought, I think, is this line of thinking, I think, is just a unique way of thinking about it, as opposed to all of the other card reviewers who look at every single card as if they're going to get every single card in the expansion. And they've gotten every single card in all of the previous expansions, so they're guaranteed to have all of the utilities available to them. And if you don't, you need to come at the deck building process a completely different way. So I think that this, if nothing else, provides a unique way of doing card reviews and talking about cards that not a whole bunch of other card reviewers may do. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And also, I just enjoy doing it that way. It's just more fun than looking at, you know, the static things. Because, I mean, I got the card. What am I going to do with the card? I gotta think about it. And so that's what I do. Okay, so I know that you can do this. Okay, so I'm buying 23 packs. Sweet. That is a total of 30, except one of them I think is a basic. Yeah, one of them is a basic. I'm going to go ahead and open that one up. This one's not exciting or important in any way, unless I get a legendary. Nope. Ooh, I don't think I actually have Shield Slam. I think that's actually a new classic card for me. Cool. I mean, whatever. It works for me. Alright, here we go. First pack. Open it up. It's one of those things that only has one rare. Alright, let's talk about these cards. I'm so excited. Okay, so, Healing Rain, Shaman card, 3 cost, restore 12 health, randomly split among all friendly characters. It's just generally a good card. You could play this really whenever. If you're missing a lot of health and don't have a lot of minions on the board, if you do have a lot of minions on the board and they're all missing health, you probably won't want to play it in a totem-style deck, which I know is something that people are talking about now, because totems generally don't have a lot of health. They usually have, like, 2. You could use the totem card that gives them +2 health, and now they all have 4 health, and then, if you want to keep them alive, maybe, but I don't know, it seems like kind of a waste of a heal, unless you're missing a substantial amount too, and you can risk some of the totems dying to get yourself health. More often than not, you would want to play this in an evolved shaman, or a shaman that has synergy with cards that are out on the board and in your hand, you know, playing them together. There aren't a lot of shaman cards like that, but there are a few, and in those cases you'd want to use this. Otherwise, it's just a completely decent healing card, so either way, it's a pretty good card. The way I rate cards is by a yes, maybe, or no. Very simple, very simplistic, and the reason I do it that way is because cards are like the card rating system in general is just fluid. Cards change in their effectiveness as time goes on, and not from expansion to expansion either. It's during the lifetime of an expansion they'll sort of shift around and become more useful or less useful as time goes on. For example, the legendary weapons, people are theorizing that at the first few weeks of the expansion, they're going to be trash because everybody's going to put all of the weapon removal cards in all of their decks to make sure you can't get the buffs off of them. But you wait a little while for that to cool down, and people start to get a little bit more creative with their decks, and the weapon cards sort of phase out and not become the big hot thing of that week. Then people might start taking them out, and then weapon cards will become useful again, and that's just during the first few weeks of the expansion. So, as time goes on, as meta evolves, as things go, cards are just fluid. So yes, it's a good card, maybe it's a good card, or no, it's not a good card is just easy. It's easy, simple, and it explains it very well. So I'm going to give Healing Rain a yes. It is a good card. Whether or not it sees play really depends on whether or not healing is useful in Shaman. I think it is, so I'm going with yes. Unidentified Elixir. We're finally moving on to the second card. After 7 minutes of talking. Moving on to the second card. Unidentified Elixir. 3-cost Priest card. Give a minion +2/+2. Gains a bonus effect. There's 4 different bonus effects, and they're all great. They're all perfectly suited. They're all good. Like, this is Mark of the Wild for Shaman. It's perfectly good. There is that one card that's a 1-cost, and it gives like people plus something. I don't remember if it's +1 or +2 at the end of their turn. I'm pretty sure it's +1, but this is just a better that. Even though it doesn't have a body, it's a buff, and it's a good buff. So, yeah, I'm giving it a yes. It's a very good buff card for a priest, which I don't really think they even need. They've got lots of buffs. But this is a good one among those good buffs. Next, Dry Gulch Jailer. Paladin card, 2-cost 1/1, Death Rattle, add 3 Silverhand recruits to your hand. Now we're going to see a few of these kinds of cards, I think, where it's sort of a side grade or upgrade of a hero power. This is sort of a side grade. It creates more than one Silverhand recruit, but it puts it in your hand, so they have a cost, and Silverhand recruits will cost 1 each. So it's sort of a side grade, and what you're gonna notice with a lot of these is that the goodness of the card depends entirely on how you value your hero power. For Paladins in particular, and for this card, Paladins don't really care about their hero power too much. There used to be a Silverhand recruit meta. It came back for a little while in Wild, and they're trying to sort of bring it back again. But there aren't enough good Silverhand recruit cards, and there's just so many ways to remove it. It's not good enough, I feel. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad card. In Wild especially, where there's still tons of ways to buff Silverhand recruits, this will probably see play. In hand buff decks, this is also really good because it does put it in your hand, and they're not going to get more expensive. So you'll be able to play a 5/5 Silverhand recruit for 1 mana cost, and then play Silverhand recruit synergy, and it gets even bigger. And it's not bad, but it's not going to see standard play, and it's only maybe going to see Wild play. I'm going to give it a maybe, so maybe. Next, the Shrieking Shroom. I love this card. It's so cute. It's a neutral card, 3-cost. At the end of 3-cost 1/2. At the end of your turn, summon a random 1-cost minion. 1-cost minions tend to be blah. like, maybe you luck out and you get the new 2/3 that's come out, or maybe you get the Mistress of Mixtures, which is a 2/2. But otherwise, this is probably going to be bad, and it's definitely going to die if it survives the next turn and the next turn. Like, if it survives the opponent's turn and then it survives your turn and it can do its at the end of turn thing twice, then it's not only worth it, it's good. But the chances of that are so astronomically low. So I'm gonna give this card a maybe, but it's probably no. Next, Shifting Scroll for Mage. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a random mage spell. We've seen this before. We had the warrior weapon that did this exact same thing. We saw the legendary Shifter Xeris, which did the same thing but with minions. What we found is that with minions, it's completely bad. It's good for a tavern brawl, but otherwise it's completely bad because it will almost always turn into a minion that you want on a turn where you can't play it. And it's aggravating. And it's distracting you from the board and the rest of the game. And it's just not good. And with the weapon one, it's even worse because there are so many, like, I think there's like 5 bad weapons versus like 12 good weapons. Or maybe 7 good weapons and 5 weapons you actually want. And it's the same thing, but also there's just bad ones. So that completely failed. I tried really hard to get that card to work too, and it didn't work at all. This, on the other hand, because it's always going to be a mage spell, there's a little bit more chance there, because all mage spells really are pretty good. Like, even the ones you don't normally see play, it's not because they're bad, it's because there are better ones out there. But if it's just in your hand and you get to play it anyway, then, why not? Plus, sometimes you can double up on secrets with this, and it's just normally good. So, I'm going to give this one a maybe toward the side of yes, but it's still maybe, because it's probably going to get booted for the actual spells you want. Alright, next! Don't worry, this will start to go faster. I know, I'm already talking kind of fast. It might be hard to understand me, but don't worry. It'll be okay. You'll survive, I swear. Oh, cool, we doubled up. Next is the Raven Familiar. Mage cost 2/2, Battlecry, reveal a spell in each deck. If yours costs more, draw it. It's incentivizing a big mage sort of play. Although, to be perfectly honest, you could probably get away with going Fireball and up. So a 4 cost and up with this, and you'd be probably fine. Sure, there is like Priest, and really every class has a lot of like bigger spells, but they don't usually play them. Usually 5 is the limit for most of those spells, with exception to Priest. So I think this will be okay most of the time. Even if it's not, you get to see what kind of big spell is in your opponent's deck, which can help you plan for the future. I don't think the big mage sort of thing that they're trying to go for is going to work, but even in a normal thing, this is probably going to be fine. It's not something you want to play on turn 2, though, because then you're getting a big spell in your hand, and you just gotta sit on it for a while, unless you luck out and you get, like, Fireball, and then you only have to wait a turn. But chances are you'll get, like, Fireland's Portal, or some other really big, like, Flame Strike. The 7 cost, it hits a whole board. And if you get that on turn 2, you're just going to be sitting on it for a while, and it's kind of sucks. Yeah, it's nice to have, but your opponent knows you have it now, and they're going to plan around it for the next 6 turns, or 5 turns. So, maybe. It's probably fine, but it depends on how you build your deck, so maybe. Next, Barkskin. 1 cost, give a minion +3 health, +3 armor. Generally good. It's better than Claw because you're buffing a minion instead of yourself. I mean, you're also giving yourself 3 armor, which is good for several different reasons for Druid. But generally giving yourself to attack isn't always useful. But giving a minion plus 3 health is almost always useful. So, it's good. It's better than Claw. Claw didn't really see any play, which is a shame. But, this I think will. This I think will see at least a little bit of play. So, I'm going to give it a yes. But it's tentative. Next, the Gilded Gargoyle. 3-cost 2/2 priest card. Death Rattle, add a coin to your hand. It's bad. Very, very bad. You would never want to give your opponent a coin. Oh no, you're adding a coin to your hand. That's a little bit better. But it's still a 3-cost 2/2, which but it's probably good in a Raza Priest where you get to play Raza and you get to like play spells over and 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 over. But otherwise, it's not going to see play. And even in that, it's a 3-cost 2/2. I'm going to say no. Next is the Furbolg Mossbinder. 5-cost 1/1 Battlecry. Transform a friendly minion into a 6/6 elemental. We've seen the reverse of this many times, where we play a 1/1 that summons a 6/6 or a 5/5. That gets played sometimes, especially like Big Time Racketeer. He gets played, especially in Evolve decks. This is worse because it doesn't summon the 6/6. It transforms a friendly minion into a 6/6. Really, that's only useful if a minion that was going to be useful is silenced. Like if someone silences your treasure chest, or the end is coming, the Doomsayer. If someone silences that and it's just a dead card on the field, then transforming it is harmless. And it could go into some synergy with Evolve Shaman. But otherwise, this is straight up trash. So I'm saying no. Even then, there are better 5-cost plays to play in Evolve Shaman. Oh cool, we got another one of those. Leyline Manipulator. Holy Jeebus! I love this card. 4-cost 4/5. If you're holding any cards that didn't start in your deck, reduce their cost by 2. I play Random Mage. I play Chaos Mage. It's not nearly as good as Casino Mage, but I like it. Basically, you take any card that has the Battlecry, Death Rattle effect of a Discover or the tagline Random. You put it in that deck, and you just see what happens. Every game is different, and you have no control. It's great fun. And this card is going to be amazing in that deck. It's going to be amazing in that deck. It's going to be amazing in Casino Mage, which I feel is coming back. It's going to be great in the OTK Mage, which I hate, but whatever. It's going to be great in Mage, no matter what. It's great. It's so good. Thumbs up. Yes, absolutely perfect. It's so good. Next is the Vulgar Homunculus. 2-cost 2/4 with Taunt, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to your hero. Now, Warlock has had this really big problem for a long time about them hurting themselves so much that they end up killing themselves. And it's always been it's been a huge problem since Classic. And only recently has that sort of started to get better, where they've started to get really good demons, and they've started to get some healing capability back that wasn't just neutral cards, and started to get their own sort of healing back, especially ones that aren't negative, like destroying a minion to get that healing. But because of that, I feel a little bit more optimistic about these cards that deal 2 damage to your hero. And, as we're going to see, there's a little bit more synergy this expansion with dealing damage to your hero that isn't just play an oversetted minion, but destroy yourself in the process. So, I'm giving this a maybe, only because I'm giving it a maybe and not a yes, only because it is a small demon, so it sort of mucks up a demonology deck. If you get this on your turn 10, yes, it's a taunt, yes, it is 4 health, but it's still not nearly as good as getting any big demon that you could play. So, it'll muck up that deck, but otherwise it'll be fine. Next is the Fungal Enchanter. 3 cost, 3/3, battle cry, restore 2 health to all friendly characters. It's good. It reminds me of the Priestess of Elune, which was a 5 cost, 5/4 that restored 2 health to all friendly characters, and that never got played, and it was crap, and it was always bad. But that's because, cool, you healed your board, but we're in a meta that doesn't sustain that, and it has 4 health, so it dies to anything. This, on the other hand, is much smaller, much more useful, and we are in a meta that is going to support having a larger board. So, this works. This works a lot better. So, I definitely think that if you're playing a minion-based a deck, like a Token Druid, Totem Shaman, Evolve Shaman, Silverhand Recruit Paladin, so many other things that want to have a lot of minions on the board. Taunt Warrior, Taunt Druid, so many things. This is going to be absolutely useful in that deck, because not only is it small and cheap to get out, it heals the entire board and yourself. It's good. It's good. So, thumbs up. Next is Oaken Summons. 4 cost. Gain 6 armor. Recruit a minion that costs 4 or less. Druid does not have nearly enough of this. Whether or not this gets played at all depends entirely on whether or not you can get the other card that's coming out in this expansion called Astral Tiger, which is good, and is, like, the 2 combination with those 2 cards is just great. It's so good. So, it also works with the new Spellstone. I don't know if I'm going to get either of those cards, and it depends entirely on whether or not I get those 2 cards, whether or not this card's going to see any play whatsoever for me. So, maybe. Because a 4 cost, gain 6 armor is trash. Like, the Warriors have the same card, but it costs 1, and that never sees play. So, and there aren't nearly enough good cards for Druid that cost 4 or less. Most of the good Druid cards cost way more than that. The ones that cost less than that have a battle cry that you want. So you recruiting it ruins it. So, yeah. Otherwise, it would be completely no. But there are 2 cards in this expansion that make it a maybe. Next! Ooh, starting off with a rare. The Lesser Onyx Spellstone. F! Rogue! I suck at Rogue. Lesser Onyx Spellstone, 5 mana, destroy 1 random enemy minion, play 3 Death Rattle cards to upgrade, and then it becomes a destroy 2 and destroy 3. There is a 5 cost destroy a minion that you choose, and that sort of got whittled out as time went by. It used to be one of the most overpowered cards. Now it is barely ever seen play, because there are just better ways to destroy minions out there. And this is a direct... At its base, it's a direct side grade. If you can upgrade it, even once, it's a direct upgrade, because it's the same cost and does twice as much, or 3 times as much. Depends on whether or not you can play Death Rattles. Death Rattle Rogue never really took off, and to be perfectly honest, I don't see it coming back. So, probably not, but I'll give it like a I'll give it a maybe, because if Death Rattle Rogue somehow magically starts working, this card is going to make it completely overpowered. So, because destroying 3 enemy minions is just amazing. It's, what do you want from me? It's really, 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 really good, but playing 6 Death Rattle cards to get it and then playing it on turn 5 or later is just... You need the second to even be worth it, and you want the third. But playing 6 Death Rattle cards is impossible unless you're playing Death Rattle Rogue, which is blah. So, maybe. Next is the Potion of Heroism. Paladin card, 2 cost, give a minion Divine Shield, and draw a card. This is good. There is the one, I think it's either 0 cost or 1 cost, I can never remember. I think it's 1 cost where you give a minion Divine Shield. And that sees middling bout of play, mostly in Divine Shield. Sorry, I'm playing with my beard. It keeps on getting in my mouth while I'm talking. It sees middling play in the Divine Shield Paladin, where you've got the new Bolvar, and you've got the Tyrian Forging, and you've got the weapon and that upgrades, and it's okay, but it doesn't see play anywhere else, and even then it's probably a toss-out. This, on the other hand, does the same thing, and you draw a card for 2, which is perfectly well statted, and in Paladin you always run the risk of running out of cards. They have way too few good big-cost minions, and way too many good low-cost minions, so you'll just be packing those into your deck, and playing them, and then you're out of cards, and you're dead. So, yeah, I see this seeing play only because it's a effect Paladin already has and sees a little bit of play, plus it draws a card which Paladins desperately need in the early game. So, yes. Next is the Dire Mole, 1-cost 1/3 beast. I think this exists purely to make the Death Knight Hunter a little bit better, because giving something +4 stats for +1 mana cost is really, really, really good. But there isn't a whole lot of beast synergy this expansion, and this does have the beast tag, and if there was a lot of beast synergy going on, this would be an amazing card. There isn't, so it's probably not. So, no. Next is the Wax Elemental. 1-cost 0/2, Taunt Divine Shield. This would only see play in an Elemental Synergy deck, which is Mage. And Mage has so many better low-cost cards than this that it's not even funny. So, no. You could see this being played in a hand buff Paladin, but their 1/1 Taunt Divine Shield is even better for that. You could also see it played in a Divine Shield Paladin, but you run into that same problem, where they already have one and it's better. So, I guess if you're low on Divine Shield minions with Taunt, fine. But no. Oh, I got a legendary! I got a legendary and a golden rare. Awesome. Temporus! Now this is gonna be weird. The legendary dragon card. 7-cost 6/6. Battlecry. Your opponent takes 2 turns, then you take 2 turns. It is a win more card. If you're playing Dragon Priest and you're winning out the nose, you play this, it'll either turn the game in your opponent's favor, or it will secure the kill. There is no in-between. Because giving your opponent 2 turns is ludicrous. That's how a lot of... that's Quest Mage. That's OTK Mage. You never want to play this card against Mage. Ever. Just don't play it against Mage, no matter what you do, because they have all of the resources necessary to do it, even without the quest, so don't do it. Against some of the others, though, especially if they're playing a slow control deck, where they're trying to either whittle you down or build a big board and then whittle you down, this has potential. It has potential. If you're playing this against Shaman, they'll probably use this turn to get Alakir the Windlord if they have those cards. Or evolve and then attack you with all the evolve stuff. So you're probably dead. Against Warrior, it depends. If they're playing Taunt Warrior, you're probably fine. If they're playing Whirl Warrior or Death Knight Warrior, you're probably dead. So yeah, it is strictly a either your opponent wins or you win card. So no. Absolutely not. Your opponent's going to take full advantage of this, and you can only maybe take advantage of this, so no. If it was the reverse, where you got 2 turns and then your opponent took 2 turns, that might be better. That would probably be a lot better. But as it stands. Next is the Sneaky Devil. 4 cost 2/2 stealth. Your other minions have +1 attack. I think this is the first time we've ever seen a neutral demon. Not that it means anything. No other deck has demon synergy than Warlock, but it's a neat little thing. For the card itself, though, it's probably trash. This has a slight buff over the dude who costs 2 to give 1 attack to all your other minions because it has stealth. Stealth is not worth 2. Stealth is definitely not worth 2. And if you attack with it, it's going to lose stealth. And it only has 2 attacks, so it's susceptible to board clear from almost any class. So, even in a token deck, you probably wouldn't play it. So, no. I need a drink. Next, the Murmuring Elemental. 2 cost 1/1, Battle Cry. Your next Battle Cry this turn triggers twice. It's a smaller, weaker brand Bronzebeard, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. The problem I have is that Shaman doesn't have a whole lot of good Battle Cries. And the few Battle Cries it has, while you will get some value out of it triggering twice, you won't get a whole lot. You'd want to play this with, like, the 4-cost thing that, or is it 4 cost or 5 cost? Whatever. The one that evolves a single card, sort of similar to the Unstable Evolve that's in this expansion. Because then it'll evolve it twice, and that's value. But otherwise, it's probably bad. Otherwise, there aren't enough good Shaman Battle Cries. This is Elemental, so it could fit into an Elemental deck. And there are some good Elementals that have Battle Cry, especially in Shaman, where they just like are sending out damage. But just same problem, really. It's probably fine, but most likely gonna get booted for something else. It's probably maybe, but on the low side of maybe. Next is Reckless Flurry. Spend all your armor, deal that much damage to all minions. Personally, I feel that Warrior doesn't need any more big whirl effects. They have plenty. This is just a really, really big one, which isn't bad. It's like Brawl, but cheaper, which is good. Brawl doesn't really see a whole lot of play, but I think that in the moments where you'd want to play Brawl, you'd actually want to play this more. Just because, at worst, it is a 5 mana, deal 5 damage. 5 mana, deal 2 damage to the entire board. Which, Warrior in particular can get a whole lot of synergy off of that sort of effect. But at best, it's a massive board clear. Which, for 3 mana, is not bad. Next is the Lesser Amethyst Spellstone for Warlock. This is one of the cards I was talking about where Warlock is starting to get a little bit more health back, and this is a great one. Lifesteal, deal 3 damage to a minion, take damage from your cards to upgrade, so like that Homunculus from earlier, that's going to be great. It'll upgrade it to deal 5 damage and then 7 damage. Now, 3 damage lifesteal is the Warlock hero power with the Death Knight. So that's probably worth 3 to 4 mana. 4 mana. So right away, it's not terrible, but you can definitely do better. And with Warlock, it's definitely not hard. So to do that 5 and that 7. The main drawback is that it has to hit a minion. But even then, it's not bad. Warlocks usually tend to want to play a longer game. You can sometimes get away with doing the Warlock quick plays, where it's like little and you just like beat him out like really, really fast. But usually you'll get yourself punished for doing stuff like that, especially with Warlock, where in order to do that, you have to throw out your entire hand and take a whole lot of damage. And then, if it doesn't work, you're just screwed. By turn 6, you'll know if you're dead or not. So, you usually don't want to do that. But that doesn't mean that you can't play some of those cards and get this, to get the heal back, and then you're fine again, and you're stable, and you can keep on going. So it's good. It's good. It's a maybe at its 3. Yes, at 5 and 7. So, yes, it's good. Ooh. Next. Stone Skin Basilisk. 3 cost 1/1 Divine Shield and Poisonous. Boy, this card would be good if it had Charge. If it was 3 cost Charge Divine Shield and Poisonous, then yes. If it had Taunt Divine Shield and Poisonous, it would be a maybe, because there's a better card. The snail is better in that regard. This card can really only exist in hand buff Paladin. Otherwise, it's probably doomed to fail. It's probably a no. Poisonous is just too scary. People want to get rid of it. I have the same problem I had with this that I had with the snail, and I was wrong about the snail, but I think I'm right about this guy. There's no way. He's way too small and easy to get rid of, and conversely way too scary to not get rid of. He cannot see play in a meaningful way. Otherwise, like, look, if this card turns out being good, I'm just gonna have to start building poisonous decks, because that's ridiculous. Played that one, or seen that one already. Cursed Disciple, 4 cost 5/1, Death Rattle, summon a 5/1. You don't want a 5/1. You usually don't want a 5/2. You don't want a 10/2. It's stickier than a Rager, but Ragers are awful. This might be okay in the Quest Druid if the other 5/1 counts. If it doesn't count, then this is just trash completely. If it does count, then this could be a good throwaway card for a Quest Druid because it's 4 cost, add 2 ticks to your quest. It's not bad. Next, the Hooked Reaver, 4 cost 4/4 for Warlock. Battlecry, if you have 15 or less health, gain a 3/3 and Taunt. It's a 4 mana 7/7 with Taunt. Warlocks are so good at hurting themselves, and now they have ways of healing themselves. This is perfectly fine. You'll never play it on turn 4, but that's okay. When you play it, it'll be meaningful. Because it's a demon, it might gum up your Warlock Death Knight, but a 4/4 is still okay. That's right on the cusp there for me. I would probably risk playing this because even if I get this, at least I didn't get like an Imp or a Void, the 1/3 Void Lord thing. So it'll be fine. It's fine. So I'm giving it a yes. And you would play this even not in a Demonology Warlock, so that gets a bonus. We've already done that one. Next. Done it. Guild Recruiter, 5 cost 2/4. Battlecry, recruit a minion that costs 4 or less. No. It's too small on its own. The fact that it's a Battlecry recruit helps. But whatever card you're getting, you're not going to get the Battlecry on, so it's got to have good stats. So, if you play this on turn 5, what you need for this to see any play at all is to have some sort of guaranteed way of getting a 3/4 or better. Or, whatever card you get has to have a meaningful Death Rattle that is worth at least 3, if not more. So, this has a tiny chance in Rogue and Warrior. But that's it. That's it, and it's a tiny, tiny chance. So, no. Next is Flanking Strike. 4 cost, deal 3 damage to a minion, summon a 3/3 wolf. It's good. It's just a good spell. It's deal 3 damage. It sucks that it's to a minion, but whatever. You deal 3 damage, you summon a 3/3 for 4. So, yeah, nothing really more to say about that, really. It's just an okay card. It might get booted for some other stuff. It sort of depends on whether or not you need some minions on the board. They're trying to go for a spell hunter this time around. I don't think it's going to work. But, if it works, this is going to be in it. If it doesn't work, this probably isn't going to get played. There are better 4-cost cards for Hunter out there. But it's definitely not bad. So I'm going to give it a maybe on the upside. Next is Dark Pact. 1 cost, destroy a friendly minion, restore 8 health to your hero. See, this... It's better than its predecessor, where you had to destroy a demon, where it was 6 cost, destroy a demon and destroy a minion, gain 3 health, or destroy a demon and gain some health. It's better than those, but those never saw play. This might see play, especially in the kind of warlocks where you're wanting to hurt yourself, which is starting to actually come about now. It has hope, but Token Warlock is sort of out now. It's not really a thing anymore. But even so, it still has a chance. This would be good in the Quest Warlock because you're getting those I think they're 2/2s or 2/3s. You're getting those every turn, and you can always sacrifice one of them because you're going to get more anyway. It's good in the early game, so it's good that it costs 1. I'm going to say yes, but I personally feel kind of icky about it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's 8 health for 1 minion. It's definitely good. But I still feel icky. Next is Dragon Slayer. Neutral card, 3 cost, 4/3. Battlecry, deal 6 damage to a dragon. Here's the thing. Dragon Priest was a really big thing, but that had Blackrock, which had a lot of really good dragons in it. I think Dragon Priest will probably come back, but in a much smaller way. And Dragon Priest is really the only... Priest is the only class that centers around dragons. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good classic dragons out there, and this will be good against most of them. It won't kill any of them, but it'll be good against most of them. And it's a cheap card, so you can afford that. But the chances of your opponent playing one of the classic dragons in any deck other than Priest is middling to low. So I think the chance of this card being any good at all depend on whether or not Dragon Priest comes back in a big enough way to become a known meta for this expansion, which is unlikely but possible. So I'm going to give it a maybe, but on the lower scale. Next is the Dry Whisker Armorer. 2 cost, 2/2, Battlecry for each enemy minion, gain 2 armor. It is good. It is great. It is a very, very good... Well, it's not great, but it's a very, very decent way of getting armor for Warrior. Warrior is getting a lot of ways to get a lot of, armor synergy. But even beforehand, they had a lot of armor synergy. And even if you're playing a kind of warrior that doesn't have armor synergy, armor is just more health on top of what you've already got, which is always good. And it's based on your enemy's board, which means you have to do very little work for this armor. And it's 2 armor, not 1. If it was 1 armor, it would probably be trash because your opponent has a board. You're gaining armor? Why are you wasting your time? You should be getting rid of that board. But since it's 2 armor and it's 2 cost, there's a little bit of chance that you'll be able to get a large amount of armor really, really easily, even when your opponent has a lot of really weak, non-threatening minions on the board. Things that jump to my mind are Priest and Shaman. They play a lot of really small minions in the early game, and they can get multiple out on a turn. So they do that, you play this, you got a lot of armor, they don't got a lot of ways to get rid of it. So that's not bad. even without the armor synergy. So, yeah, say yes. It's a good card. Next. Also, I talked about this a little bit. But this is the Warriors Hero Power Direct Upgrade card. There are a lot of direct upgrade kobolds in this expansion, where they've got a kobold that is a either side grade or direct upgrade of their hero power. And I want to see more of that. This is a good one. This is definitely a good one, where it's like, hey, let's take a kobold that does something with your hero power, but does a big thing, and it's just a battle cry, so it doesn't change your hero power, but it works as if it were a card that's just a straight upgrade of your hero power. I like that idea. And it depends entirely on whether or not your hero power is useful to your deck. The difference is that with Warrior especially, armor is always useful. So, there you go. Next, the Paladin Weapon, Unidentified Maul, 3 cost 2/2. Me and a lot of people really disagree about this card. And I don't mean like I have a differing of opinion of most people. No, it's no one really agrees on this frickin' card. Is it 75% good? Is it 25% good? Is it a 50-50? Which ones are the bad ones and which ones are the good ones? Everyone agrees that the Summon 2 the Summon 2 Silverhand Recruits is good. The other ones, no one can agree on. I personally think this card is 75% good. Giving all of your minions +1 attack is probably the weakest one, and that really depends on you having a board. If you don't have a board, then it's trash. If you do have a board, it's only okay. The rest, give your minions Divine Shield, summon the 2 1/1s. The other one I can't remember. They're okay to good. I think it's too expensive. I think it should have been 2 cost 2/2. Get with this unidentified thing, so that the unidentified part of it is just icing on the cake of an okay weapon. But it's still not unplayable at 3 cost. So I think it's a maybe going up. Next is Crushing Hand. 2 cost, deal 8 damage to a minion, overload 3. It is a 2 cost kill any minion with an overload of 3. Works good in an overload shaman. I personally play an overload shaman. I play sort of a hybrid deck between a freeze shaman and an overload shaman, and it works. It works pretty well. This would work really well in it because it kills a minion and gives me the overload I need. So I could, theoretically with that, play this and the 4 mana 7/7 and the 2/8 with taunt overload 3 and play the Snowflurry Giants with like 2 mana. So that's 4, 6, 7, 8. I could play 1. I think my math's good on that. I'm probably wrong, though. And even then, it just adds on to it. And even if you're not playing an overload deck, this is pretty harmless. It's the same. In that case, it's the same as the 5 mana mage card, deal 8 damage to a minion, and that does see a little bit of play. But they have a lot of card removal with like fireballs and flame strikes and Firelance Portal. Shaman doesn't have a lot. Shaman has some. Not nearly as much as mage. So this is a welcome addition for Shaman. I think so. Excuse me. We talked about that one already. Green Jelly, 5 cost 3/3. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/2 ooze with taunt. It is an upgrade of Hogger, which doesn't see a lot of play. It's not terrible though. It's definitely the fact that it summons the 1/2 ooze with taunt. Your opponent definitely has to get rid of it. It reminds me of the Warrior card. The difference is that the Warrior card had 9 health. So it was a lot better. But I think that this is a really good way to force your opponent to slow down. because they definitely want to kill. They definitely have to kill the 1/2 with taunt, and they definitely want to kill this. So they are wasting 2 attacks on this for 5 mana, which means their turn 6 setup for attacking you is shot. So I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's a maybe, but I think this will see a little bit of play, a tiny bit of play, just a little bit of play. I'll play it. Fine. I'll be the guy who plays it. Whatever. I'll play it. Next is the... last thing I'm going to say about the green jelly. It's a 5 mana 4/5 with taunt, which isn't great, but 4 mana 4/5 is playable. 5 mana 4/5 with taunt, also a little playable. And if by some stupid coincidence they don't get rid of the green jelly, it just keeps accruing value. So why not? Next is the Plated Beetle. 2 mana 2/2 Death Rattle, gain 3 armor. Is going to be good in Druid. It's going to be okay in Hunter. It's 2 mana 2/3 actually. I'm wrong. Otherwise, it won't see a lot of play. It's a Druid and Hunter card. It's not a bad Druid and Hunter card, but it's strictly a Druid and Hunter card. Might see some play in Warrior if you get the Warrior armor synergies, but otherwise they've got better cards. Next is a Rogue Secret. Oh, good. Cheat Death. 2 cost. When a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. It costs 2 less. This is... See, the thing with the Rogue Secrets is that they're taking a Rogue spell, and they're taking a secret from another deck, and they're smashing them together. And... it doesn't necessarily work. The problem with Rogue cards is that they're all timing based, and that makes it really easy to sort of guess which one they're playing. If I can get all 3 Rogue Secrets and play them all at once on turn 6, and I've got a board that it works with, good. That is what you want. Although, that does mean your opponent's going to be screwed no matter what for 6 mana. So... it works. Unless they destroy your secrets. But that's not something that usually happens anymore. Otherwise, they'll probably find a way to play around this. They'll destroy a minion that you don't want to get back, like one of your tokens, or something that doesn't have a death rattle, or something that has a pretty forgettable battle cry. It's meh. It's a maybe to low no. It's a maybe to no. It's, yeah. Next. Don't worry. I know we've been doing this for an hour and we've only done 6 packs. It gets faster. Like here. There's only 2 new cards here. The Warrior card. Gem-Studded Golem. 6 cost 5/9 taunt. Can only attack if you have 5 or more armor. It's a non-legendary version of Soggoth the Slitherer for a 3 mana discount. Who cares that it can't attack if you have 5 or more armor? It doesn't lose its attack. Anyone that's running into this is still going to have to hit it. The main downside is that it's losing its spell immunity, and I would hazard that spell immunity is worth at least 1 mana, but that still leaves this at a mana and a half to 1 mana discount of Soggoth the Slitherer. It works in Taunt Warrior. It works not in Taunt Warrior. It just works in Warrior. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm saying yes. Who cares whether it can attack or not? It's still a big minion with a big attack on the board. I mean, bonus if it can attack, but it has to survive the next turn first, which isn't guaranteed. Next is the Kobold Illusionist Rogue card. 4 cost. Death Rattle, summon a 1/1 copy of a minion from your hand. It's a 3/3. Good in a Death Rattle Rogue, which I'm not convinced we'll see play. Otherwise, it's crap. You don't want to play a 4 mana 3/3. Ever. Really, with any class. It's all in the text that comes afterward. And this text just isn't good enough, I think. Unless you're playing Rogue, Death Rattle Rogue, which I'm not convinced. I'm not. If it's a thing, look, I got the cards for it. Now I've got the cards for it, so I'm gonna try. But I still don't think so. I still really don't. And that's the only new cards here. Hungry Etten. 6 cost for 10 taunt battle cries. Summon a random 2 cost minion for your opponent. I think it's good. There are two minions that you could give your opponent that have poisonous, in which case you're sad because you wasted 6 mana. Otherwise, though, it is a 4/10 with taunt that isn't a 9 cost. So it's perfectly playable. It's good in Taunt Warrior, and it's good in Big Druid. Otherwise, you probably don't even really care that it's a big taunt minion. You're not going to play it because you don't want to play a big taunt minion. So, yeah. You'll feel really happy evolving into this, though. It's a great card to evolve into. Next is the Carnivorous Cube. 5 cost for 6 Battlecry, destroy a friendly minion, Death Rattle, summon 2 copies of it. It's going to be good in any deck. Really, any deck. It doesn't have to be a Death Rattle minion you destroy. It could be an 8/8 that took a lot of damage. Like, if your Lich King took a lot of damage, but it's down to 2 health, and you don't think it's going to survive, use this on it and get 2 later. It's weak to silence, but that's its only weakness. And really, that could be said about anything with a Death Rattle or a Taunt in the entire game. So, I think it's good. I think it's good, and you'll definitely play it. It's even better in that Death Rattle Rogue, which I'm starting to put together in my mind because I feel like I have to now. But it's just okay. It's either okay or it's good. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up, give it the benefit of the doubt. Next is the Hoarding Dragon. 4 cost 5/6 Death Rattle. Give your opponent 2 coins. Boy, they love doing that. Boy, they love making 5/6s with negative Death Rattles. I talked about this earlier. You never want to give your opponent a coin. Even 1 coin, you never want to give it to them. 2 coins is right out. If you could silence this yourself, it's okay, but then you're wasting a silence on one of your own minions, and why would you ever? 5/6 is just not strong enough on turn 4. Tell you what, if this was 2 mana 5/6, or 2 mana, if this was 2 mana 5/4 Death Rattle, give your opponent 2 coins, then it's probably worth the silence, and hell, it's probably worth playing. But, this is crap. This is never gonna get played. Oh crap, another legendary. I'm all about that. That's more legendaries I've ever gotten in one of these pack opening videos. Next is, we'll start with Shroom and go around. Shroom Brewer, 4 cost 4/4, restore 4 health. It's a straight upgrade of the 3 mana 3/3, restore 3 health. It's good. In any class where you care about your health at all, so Warlock, Warrior, Shaman, Druid, really anything except for Rogue. Really anything except Rogue will want to play this, probably, at least once. So, yeah. Thumbs up. It's good. It's the kind of pack filler you don't mind filling your pack... it's the kind of deck filler that you don't mind filling your deck with. Green Jelly talked about it already. Ebon Dragonsmith, 4 mana, 3/4. Battlecry, reduce the cost of a random weapon in your hand by 2. This is great if you draw your legendary weapon and you can't use it. Like my stupid, my shaman one. Even at 6 cost, it's still crap, but at least I won't have to waste my turn 8 playing it. So, I'm definitely going to use this, because I now have 2 legendary weapons, and it's going in both of those decks, because playing Aluneth on turn 4 is busted as hell. Speaking of which, Aluneth, 6 mana, 0/3, at the end of your turn, draw 3 cards. It's an aggro mage card. Playing 3 cards every turn is incredibly dangerous, especially since you don't have a way of getting rid of your own weapon this way. So, you have to plan it out so that your deck is just play small stuff all the livelong day. You cannot put Firelance Portal in your deck. You cannot put Flame Strike in your deck. Really, you can't put anything in your deck that costs more than Aluneth. Aluneth has to be the most expensive card in your deck to make Aluneth work. Otherwise, you're going to mill yourself to death. So, not impossible. In fact, very probable. Mage has a lot of low-cost, really good minions and spells. So, it's not only possible, it's probable, and I'm definitely going to build it. But it does really suck to lose Firelance Portal and Flame Strike and all that other stuff that costs more than Aluneth. Next is Trog Gloom Eater. 5 cost, 1/5 with Taunt and Poisonous. It's an upgrade of a previous card that was similar. It's the spider thing. But, that was crap. This is also crap. It, at best, will kill 2 minions. More likely, it'll kill 1 minion. But if your opponent has any sort of removal at all, it'll kill no minions and completely waste your turn 5. So no. It might see play in Taunt Warrior, but it has so many good 5-cost taunts that this will be easily booted for those. So just not likely. Maybe in hand buff Paladin, but even that has better stuff on turn 5 than this. No. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'll try, but I don't see it. Next is the Arcane Artificer. 1 cost 1/2. Whenever you cast a spell, gain armor equal to its cost. Hey, you remember Aluneth? This, combined with Aluneth, is going to be insane. You play Aluneth, the next turn, you gotta start spilling out some cards, because you got them. You play this, you start spilling out those cards. Not only are you spilling out those cards and dealing a ton of damage, you're also gaining a ton of armor, and you will snowball your opponent to victory. Even then, it's not bad. You definitely can't play it on turn 1, though. Like, you could play it on turn... I think Kibler called it a kicker card. I think that's a term for, like, Magic the Gathering and stuff, where you play a card and it makes other cards better. But it itself is kind of crap. I think that's what that means. I have no idea. But, like, for instance, if you play on turn 8, you played this and Flame Strike or Firelance Portal, you're not only getting huge value, but you're also gaining a lot of armor. And that just makes the spell better. It improves it. It improves it by at least 1 mana. So, as long as you're casting a spell alongside this that costs 4 or more, incredibly possible for Mage no matter what the circumstance, then it is effectively making every spell you cast worth 1 more mana, which this thing does cost. Therefore, it is a good card as long as you're not playing it on turn 1, and as long as you're playing it alongside something, because they're definitely going to kill this as fast as they possibly can. It only has 2 health. It'll be easy to kill. So whatever you play it with, make sure it's worth it. So 4 mana and up, and it's worth it. Next is the Lesser Sapphire Spellstone. 7 cost, summon 1 copy of a friendly minion. Overload 3 mana crystals to upgrade. Hey, remember my freeze Overload Shaman? This card is going in that. any Shaman deck where you overload. You got that 2 mana overload 3? That works. But any Shaman where you overload. Any Shaman where you play both 4 mana 7/7s. Any Shaman where you play the 2/2/3s with taunt. Yeah, any Shaman where you play any overload cards. This is useful, because at 7 cost, its original thing is trash. It's bad. It's worth 5 mana. It's not even worth 5. It's probably worth more like 4 mana. But it has but we have cards that cost 5 mana that do this. But sorry, there's a cat over there. You get it to 2/2. Suddenly that's probably worth 6 to 7 mana. You get it to 3. Yes! Absolutely! Especially if you can play it on a big minion. Then your opponent needs to board clear in order to deal with you at all. So it's like 7 mana, you're a sucker. At summon 1 copy, you're a sucker. At summon 2 copy, it's okay. At summon 3, your opponent is now panicked. And they need to do something to get rid of you. So that's what I'm gonna try for. That's what you gotta try for that. Talked about all these except Seeping Oozling. 6 cost, 5/4, battle cry. Gain a death rattle of a random minion in your deck. If you have the Hunter Legendary, it's good. Otherwise, why aren't you playing the 6 mana 6/5 that has the good death rattle instead of this? Only reason I can see is that you drew this instead of that. In which case, it's just a slightly worse version of that. So you could technically have 3 Savannah Highmanes or 4 Savannah Highmanes in your deck. You don't even have to do weird stuff to double it up. You've got it right there. It's worse than a Savannah Highmane, but if you draw this on turn 6 and you don't have one of your Savannah Highmanes, then it's playable. But chances are, you just want to play your Savannah Highmane. Next, the Lesser Mithril Spellstone. Boy, I don't know if they upped the chance of you getting a Spellstone or a weapon with the pack opening, but I am not complaining. It has been such a problem recently where people have felt like they only get 1 or 2 options when it comes to even participating in an expansion, if they get to participate in an expansion. But this is great. I've gotten so many Spellstones, and I've gotten 2 legendary weapons. I'm happy. I'm about halfway through my deck opening, so yay. So, Lesser Mithril Spellstone, 7 cost, summon 1 5/5 Mithril Golem, equip a weapon to upgrade. Much like the last Spellstone we talked about, you summon the 1 5/5, you're a sucker. That's bad. But 2 is okay. 7 works. 2 5/5s works for 7. You summon 3. They need a Dragonfire Potion or else they're screwed. Or else that's a good turn 7 play. And that's not impossible for Warrior. They have plenty of weapons they can equip. Sure, they might feel sad about equipping a Fiery War Axe, but you can still do that. The 4 mana 2/2 whirl things for World Warrior, that's good. The legendary weapon, that's good. They got the new warrior weapon in this expansion. It's not great, but it's playable. If for no other reason than to mess with this. So, I think a middle to a yes. I think. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Boy, everybody in the world, including me, wishes they had taunt, though. It is sort of a massive troll that when you play it, it has the taunt animation as if it had taunt, and then doesn't. but whatever. Next is another cheat death and another rogue secret, Sudden Betrayal. 2 cost. When a minion attacks your hero, instead it attacks one of its neighbors. This is probably my favorite of the rogue secrets. It's better than Betrayal in that you are forcing them to waste an attack and guaranteed attacking one of their other minions. It's worse than Betrayal in that they have to initiate it. But as I said before, getting rid of secrets is not really part of the meta anymore. So it's sort of a side grade upgrade of Betrayal. Really depends on whether or not your opponent has good minions to betray. But either way, even if they don't, you're still forcing them to attack someone else instead of you, which is good. So I like it. Next! Wow, I'm gonna have some dust. Corrosive Sludge. Just what everybody wanted. More weapon destruction. 5 cost, 5/5, Corrosive Sludge. Battlecry, destroy your opponent's weapon. This is sort of a side grade / downgrade of the other slimes. The 2 cost, 3/2, destroy a weapon. The 3 cost, 3/3, destroy a weapon and get the armor. And now 5 cost, 5/5, destroy a weapon. The reason I say it's a side grade downgrade instead of a straight downgrade, because it's more expensive to do the same thing that a cheaper card can do, is because it comes with that 5/5 body. A 2 cost 3/2 is okay, but you usually don't want to play it. You really play that card only for the destruction of an opponent's weapon. The 3 cost 3/3 is the exact same way. While a 3 cost 3/3 is better than a 2 cost 3/2, which is weird, it's not better enough that you'd ever want to play it. Normally you'd want to play a 3 cost 3/4 or better, especially if they have a Battlecry or a Death Rattle attached to them. So both are pretty bleh. At least a 5 cost 5/5 isn't terrible. It's sort of in the same space though. The bonus is that 5 damage means a whole lot more than 3 damage does. In most cases. So, side grade to downgrade. It'll probably only see play right about now. It'll probably only see play the first few weeks of this expansion where everybody's trying to play their new weapon. But it'll be the first slime to be kicked out. I guarantee it. Rest I've talked about. Kobold Monk. I love this card. 4 cost 3/6, neutral. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So useful. So basically a 4-mana 3/6 with taunt. So that's not bad. I mean, it doesn't synergize with the Quest Warrior at all, but who cares? Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero power is so useful. Not just against mage. There are, really any class that has spells wants to cast those spells against your hero. The fact that you have to play some spells against minions is a downside. So this makes all of the opponent's spells slightly worse unless they can kill the monk first. So that's good. I'm definitely playing it. The rest I've talked about already. Alright, Duskbreaker, 4-mana 3/3, Battlecry, you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all your other minions. Remember earlier when I said that you never want to play a 4-mana 3/3, it's always the text that is the deciding factor. This text is so overpowered. I almost want to say it should be a 5-mana 3/3. It's seriously good. It is the card that is making everybody think that Dragon Priest might be coming back. Because there is some old Dragon synergy that still exists in Priest, and this is a dragon. And it's really good! And it requires you have another dragon. 2 + 2 = 5. It's good. It's so good, it's trying to revive a meta all on its own. So it's good. Whether or not that meta works, though, is a completely other matter. Next is Unstable Evolution. 1 mana, transform a friendly minion into one that costs more, into one that costs 1 more, repeatable this turn. It's a it's a side grade upgrade of Evolve, and incredibly useful. Because you can get a bum deal, especially in this expansion where there's a lot of really high mana cost, really crappy, low efficiency minions. Unstable Evolution is going to be the saving grace of Evolution Shaman. And even not an Evolution Shaman, you probably want to play it. Because you can get a bum deal, or you can upgrade one of your pre-existing minions, and then get a bum deal and upgrade them again. A few of the reviewers sort of went wild with this card. I think it's just good. I think it's definitely good enough that you'd probably want to play it in any Shaman deck. But it's not amazing. Unless you get Charge, which is not super likely. But if you do, obviously. But it's definitely good. Definitely good. Definitely good. Definitely. Next is Psionic Probe. 1 cost priest card. Copy a spell in your opponent's deck and add it to your hand. Honestly, this is only going to be useful in 2 instances. 1, you're playing Raza Priest, and it doesn't matter what spell you get, it's a spell and it works with Raza Priest. 2, you're playing against Mage, and they have a lot of really good spells and really no bad ones. So, yes. Or Druid. Okay, 3. Or you're playing against Druid and you get one of their ramp cards. As a Priest, ramping would be broken. So, yeah. But that's it. Otherwise, it's probably better to play Mind Visions, because even if you get like a because then you get the chance of getting minions on top of that, and really no one wants to put really bad minions in their deck. Sometimes you get a bum deal, but not often. Next, the Boisterous Bard. 3 mana, 3/2, Battlecry, give your other minions +1 health. Ugh. It's basically the exact other thing of that other card we were talking about, and that's not going to see anything. I don't think. This one's not going to see anything either. It's too weak on its own, and it boosts everybody except itself. And it's the one who really needs the health. And it's a 3-cost 3/2. Which is bad. So, no. The rest I've talked about. Cavern Shiny Finder for Rogue. 2 mana, 3/1, Battlecry, draw a weapon from your deck. Only good in Weapon Rogue. But so good in Weapon Rogue that it makes Weapon Rogue really work. If you get the Rogue Legendary Weapon, you want this card so badly. Otherwise, you don't really want to put it on anything else. Kitty, shut up. I don't care. I've talked about all these already. Come here. Sparkle says hi. Sparkle says hi. He's good, Sparkles. Okay, you gonna go play now? You gonna go play? Be loud and annoying? Yes. Yes, I am. Okay. Whoa, careful. Alright, next. Talked about all these except for Kobold Librarian. 1 cost 2/1, battlecry, draw a card, deal 2 damage to your hero. Just like the other Kobold things that I've talked about before, this is a side grade / upgrade of your hero power. And it works with the Spellstone. So, yeah. It depends entirely on how good your hero power is, and in Warlock's case, it is drawing a card, which is super good. So, yeah. Again, in Classic, and moving forward from Classic a few expansions, Warlock used to be so trash because it would always kill itself, especially with its hero power, where it does 2 damage to itself every time he draws a card as his hero power. He wants to use his hero power, but it kills him. Now they have healing. Now, dealing 2 damage draw a card is good. Now, adding a 2/1 on top of that and gaining synergy with dealing damage to yourself, especially with your cards, is good. In which case, this card's good. Next. Explosive Runes. 3 mana Mage Secret. After your opponent plays a minion, deal 6 damage to it and any excess to your hero. Good. It either really hurts a minion or it kills a minion and does face damage. As a 3 mana secret, you can't ask for much more than that, except that maybe it is a ice block and it keeps you alive an extra turn. So it is the second best secret for Mage, I feel. I think so. You're definitely going to want to play this. I hear that with Divine Shield, it still calculates the damage it does face based on how much damage it does to the minion. So even though it does 0 to the minion, it will still hit face if the Divine Shield minion has less than 6 health. And it destroys the Divine Shield. So, still not bad. Next is the Fungal Mancer. 5 mana 2/2, give adjacent minions +2/+2. Nah, it's incredibly weak, and the buff it gives isn't even that great, and it doesn't have taunt. If you put it on taunt minions, it's okay, but they don't really care about their stats that much. They care about health, they don't really care about their damage that much. So, no. If this was 5 mana 3/4, Battlecry, give adjacent minion +2/+2. Then, maybe. But, as it stands, no. Alright, seen the rest of these already. Seen all these already. Next! Epic! Rummaging Kobold. 3 mana, 1/3, Battlecry, return one of your destroyed weapons to your hand. Especially for this first few weeks, where everybody's going to destroy the crap out of your legendary weapons, you want this so that you can get your legendary weapon off. At all. But the problem is that there's 3 to 4 weapon removals, and this is just 1 card. So, if they put all the weapon removal in their deck, not likely, but if they do, then this is still not going to help you, and it's a waste of time, and you're screwed. If they only put 1 in, though, this could help. I'm curious if with the rogue weapon, does the weapon you get back still have all the same buffs as the one that's back in your deck? Because the rogue weapon is a 1/3 death rattle, put the weapon back in your deck, and it keeps all the buffs. But if it puts itself back in the deck and it goes into a sort of magical graveyard, if you pull it out of the graveyard, does it still have the buffs? I don't know. Someone else is going to have to play with that because I didn't get the weapon. But if so, yay. If nay, then after this whole week goes by, you're probably only going to want to see this. You're probably only going to see this in Big Warrior, where they got their weapon, or in what is that class? Oh crap, Paladin with the Valuneer. That with this is great. Lesser Ruby Spellstone for the Mage. Add 1 random mage spell to your hand. Play 2 elementals to upgrade. Here's the thing. Spell-based mage doesn't want to play elementals. Elemental mage does not want to play spells. Slamming them together never really worked. But this spell does add some hope that it can happen. It's not likely, but not impossible. Also, hello kitty, did you sneeze? You sneeze? Good kitty. So there's some hope. I'm gonna say maybe, but probably not. Next is the Kobold Apprentice. 3 mana, 2/1 battle cry. Deal 3 damage randomly split among all allies. So it's Arcane Missile plus a 2/1 for 3 mana, and it's neutral. And it's crap. It's massively overcost. Well, massively overcosted for 3 mana. This should be 1 mana to be good, 2 mana to be playable, 3 mana, it's garbage. It's completely unplayable. Because it's 1 mana stat line plus 1 mana spell that not everybody can play. And everybody can play it, but turning a class card into a neutral does not make it worth 1 more mana. No. 1 mana to be good, 2 mana to be playable, 3 mana is just too much. Talked about all these already. Man, I'm gonna have some dust. Which actually, this time I'm not too upset about, because I've already got some good stuff. Really, I've got my haul. I'm good. For all the work I put in, that actually wasn't that bad. Next is the Violet Worm. 8 cost 7/7 Death Rattle, summon 7/7 grubs. I'm assuming the grubs are also beasts. I don't actually know. Not that it particularly matters. Beast Synergy Hunter is not a thing right now. Sure, Hunter still wants to play Beast, but their Beast Synergy is not really at the top of their game anymore. Really, it's just the fact that they've got so many good beasts. This isn't one of them. This is okay. You want to play this in Big Warrior, Big Druid, Big anything. It's a good big card. What sucks is that usually big decks play around putting a whole bunch of big cards on the board. This wants to die on an empty board, which is not an easy thing to make a big minion do, especially if it doesn't have taunt. I don't see it. Maybe in Warlock, this would be an okay card to kill to get some mana back, or to get some health back. Like, you play this on turn 8, you slam into it, they don't quite kill it on their next turn, and then turn 9, it's like a 7/2, like it's got 2 health left, or one or 2 health left. Then you hit it with the 1 cost, and you get 8 health back, and you fill your board with grubs. It's okay. You have filled your board, though, so you want to play whatever you're going to play that turn before that, and make that the last thing you do. That's an okay turn 9. Yeah, but you don't want to play this in Death Rattle Rogue because it's too big. You don't want to play it on anything that plays a lot of big minions because its Death Rattle will fill the board. And you don't want it to die on an empty board because then you'll fill your board with 7/1/1s. You want your opponent to kill it on an empty board, which they're never gonna do. Why would they? They haven't solved anything doing that, unless they have a whirl effect or an arcane barrage effect, in which case they have a way to get rid of it, and you get nothing. So So it's maybe to no. It's bad. I want it to be good, though. It's good if, like, killing things is worth something to you. Like that other, like, 7-mana 5/5 that every time something dies, it costs less. Then it has good synergy with that. But that's two neutral cards that have synergy that isn't even very good, and they're both late game cards. So, last pack. Silver Vanguard. 7 cost 3 Death Rattle, recruit an 8 cost minion. It's garbage, garbo, bad, super, super trash. Grizzled Guardian, 8 cost 3/5 taunt Death Rattle, recruit 2 minions that cost 4 or less. Only if you got that Astral Tiger, which I did not. Otherwise, nope, it's bad, it's trash, because druids, as I said earlier, all of the druid cards that cost 4 or less have really good battle cries you want to keep. And honestly, why are you playing neutral minions that cost 4 or less in druid if you don't want to play them yourself? It's just Astral Tiger, really. Astral Tiger and maybe one other thing that you don't mind losing the battle cry for. The dream is to multiply your Astral Tiger somehow by getting its Death Rattle to take effect and then playing this, but Druid doesn't have a lot of good ways of proccing Death Rattles without killing the minion. So even that's not likely, but it's the only way I can see Grizzled Guardian being good. So, nope. Alright, that was my pack opening video. It was an hour and a half long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I said some things that made sense. I hope you agree with at least some of it. Just like I did with my previous video. The last time I did this, when the next expansion gets announced, I'm going to come back and I'm going to review the things I've said and see if I was right and see what I was wrong about. This card is wacky crazy, and I drew a lot of pretty useful cards, and not really too many of the wacky crazy ones. My weapon, my shaman weapon, was pretty wacky crazy, but the rest of it is just sort of supplement to other decks, so I lucked out. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Goodbye, everybody.